She will never admit this. Not to you, not to her friends, not even to herself. But if you understand this one psychological weak spot, the entire dynamic shifts in your favor. And most men miss it completely. It's not her past. It's not her body count. It's not whether she's good or bad. It's something far quieter, far more destabilizing. It's the fear of being replaced. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt her energy change the moment you pulled back slightly? Nothing dramatic. You didn't insult her. You didn't argue. You simply became less available. Suddenly her tone sharpens. She asks who you're with. She takes longer to reply, but watches your stories. She becomes warmer, or colder, or competitive. That's not random. That's pressure. Because beneath confidence, beneath independence, beneath the carefully constructed image, there's a constant low-level question running in the background. Am I still chosen? Not consciously, but biologically, socially, emotionally. And the man who understands this, the man who doesn't over-explain, doesn't chase, doesn't panic when she withdraws, holds a level of psychological leverage most men never realize exists. Look at modern dating. Followers, DMs, infinite options, visibility everywhere. Why does attention dominate everything? Because attention equals value, and value in a competitive marketplace is fragile. You've seen the pattern. The man who replies instantly, double texts, reassures too much, she relaxes. Attraction cools. The man who remains composed, measured, slightly unpredictable, she leans in. Why? Because uncertainty creates tension, and tension is the engine of desire. This isn't about cruelty. It's about emotional gravity. Most men try to secure attraction through comfort. The man who truly understands power secures it through controlled scarcity. He doesn't threaten. He doesn't manipulate. He simply doesn't center his world around her approval. Niccolo Machiavelli observed something centuries ago that still applies now. In The Prince, he wrote that it is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Not because fear is wicked, but because emotional certainty without tension breeds complacency. And complacency suffocates desire. Modern culture talks endlessly about equality and emotional safety. Fine. But watch behavior, not declarations. Watch who she tests. Watch who she competes for. Watch who she cannot fully relax around. It's rarely the man who hands her reassurance on a silver platter. It's the man who can walk away without collapsing. That's the weak spot. Not fragility, not inferiority, but the quiet anxiety of losing relevance in a world where options never stop. And when you understand that, when you stop performing and start embodying scarcity, the balance shifts. Let me show you exactly how this works at the deepest level. Here's the part nobody says out loud. Attraction runs on time pressure, and the one who feels the clock ticking loses power. Now, before you twist that into something shallow, listen carefully. This isn't about mocking women. It's about understanding leverage. In the modern dating market, everyone is competing. Visibility is constant. Options are everywhere. Comparison never stops, and pressure builds. You've seen it happen. A woman in her early 20s is relaxed, playful, experimental. She feels infinite runway ahead of her. Fast forward a few years. Friends are getting engaged. Exes are settling down. Social media becomes a scoreboard. Suddenly, where is this going appears sooner. Not because she's evil, not because she's weak, because uncertainty feels more expensive. And when something feels expensive, people try to secure it. Now here's where most men expose themselves. Instead of recognizing pressure, they absorb it. She starts worrying about the future, and he panics too. She seeks reassurance, and he floods her with it. She tests his certainty, and he collapses into over-explaining. He thinks he's being supportive. What he's actually doing is revealing that he needs the outcome more than she does. And the moment you need the outcome more, you lose. Let me make this uncomfortable. Have you ever felt your chest tighten because she took longer to reply? Have you ever reread your last message 3 times, wondering if you said too much? Have you ever tried to lock it down because you were afraid of losing her? Be honest, that's not strength. That's fear, and fear leaks. The dynamic shifts the second she senses that her approval matters more to you than your own direction. Now let's talk about aging properly. Men don't automatically gain value with age. That's a fantasy. Men gain value with competence, status, skill, resources, composure, network, presence. If a man wastes his 20s and 30s, aging won't save him. But if he builds relentlessly, his value compounds. That's leverage. And leverage removes urgency. When you're building something bigger than the relationship, you don't cling to it. You evaluate it. Meanwhile, many people, not just women, feel social pressure to figure it out before a certain age. And pressure creates emotional volatility. You'll see it in subtle ways: sudden seriousness, future pacing, testing loyalty, increased sensitivity to ambiguity. Again, not weakness, pressure. And the man who is grounded while others feel urgency automatically gains gravity. He is not rushing. He is not pleading. He is not negotiating from scarcity. Most men reverse this. They fear solitude. They fear being replaced. They fear starting over. So they beg, not literally, but energetically. They overgive. They overinvest. They oversacrifice. And then they wonder why respect disappears. Niccolo Machiavelli warned that excessive generosity creates contempt when it signals dependency. Read that slowly. Generosity is powerful. Dependency is not. When you give without boundaries, when you sacrifice without reciprocity, when you make it clear you cannot afford to lose her, you shrink in her perception. Because value is tied to optionality. If you can't walk away, you're trapped. And trapped men are not attractive. A man of value does not beg for reassurance. He does not rush timelines to calm anxiety. He does not abandon his mission to secure affection. He has options, not just romantic options, life options, purpose, direction, discipline. And if she leaves, he doesn't implode, he adjusts. That's the difference. The weak man fears being alone. The strong man is comfortable being alone, which is exactly why he rarely is. That's the hidden leverage. Not cruelty, not domination, self-possession. And most men will never build it, because they're too busy trying to be chosen instead of becoming irreplaceable. So now let's talk about application. Not manipulation, not mind games, application. Because most men don't lose attraction because they're not good enough. They lose it because they hand over their leverage without even noticing. Here's the first brutal rule. Never behave like she is your only option. Even if she is right now. Especially if she is. You don't announce it. You don't perform it. You embody it. Because the fastest way to kill attraction isn't cheating, it's need. It's that quiet energy that says, if you leave, I'm finished. You think she can't see it. She can. You reply instantly every time. You cancel on your friends when she's free. You over-explain small things, so she doesn't misunderstand you. You call it effort. She feels pressure, and pressure without strength feels weak. A woman can forgive errors. She rarely respects dependency, not because she's cruel, because the human brain assigns value to what appears scarce. If you act like your entire emotional stability depends on her staying, you shrink. And attraction does not grow toward shrinkage. Now here's something most men never hear. It's not that she's chasing love. She's responding to gravity. The man with gravity has a life that doesn't orbit her. He had direction before she arrived. He will still have direction if she leaves. That's what creates tension. Think about the last time you met a man who didn't seem fazed by women at all. He wasn't cold. He just wasn't desperate. He didn't perform. He didn't chase approval. And somehow that calm made him more noticeable. That's not an accident. That's optionality. And optionality doesn't mean juggling 5 women. It means your identity isn't starving for validation. Ambiguity, when rooted in strength, isn't manipulation. It's restraint. It says, I am here because I choose to be, not because I need to be. And that subtle distinction shifts the entire dynamic. Let me make this uncomfortable. Have you ever double-texted because silence made you anxious? Have you ever tried to lock things down because you were scared she might drift? Have you ever explained your tone, your schedule, your intentions just to prevent tension? That impulse is fear. And fear broadcasts. In social psychology, availability directly affects perceived demand. If something is endlessly accessible, endlessly accommodating, endlessly reassuring, the mind downgrades it, not consciously, instinctively. So when you overgive, overvalidate, overinvest, you think you're showing loyalty, but without boundaries it reads as lack of leverage. And leverage is the backbone of attraction. The question that must quietly remain alive isn't dramatic. It's simple. Would he be fine without me? Not because you're threatening, because you genuinely would be. That's the difference. A man who can emotionally survive alone carries a different presence. He doesn't panic when she pulls back. He doesn't chase when she goes cold. He doesn't beg for closure to soothe his ego. He observes, he adjusts. He continues building his life. His silence isn't punishment, it's stability. And here's the hard truth most men resist. The moment she becomes completely certain that you have nowhere else to go, tension disappears. Not because she hates you, because there's no risk left. No uncertainty, no possibility of loss. You become safe in the wrong way, predictable, emotionally dependent, and respect erodes quietly. It shows up in tone, in effort, in how she stops trying. You think she changed. In reality, the dynamic changed because you placed her above your mission. A man of real value does not beg. He does not threaten either. He builds, he chooses. He can walk away calmly, not theatrically, because his identity isn't anchored to one person's approval. That's what makes his presence heavy. That's what keeps attraction alive. Not cruelty, not dominance, self-control. And most men will hear this and still cling, because solitude terrifies them more than rejection ever could. But the man who is comfortable alone rarely stays that way. And that's the paradox you build your frame on. Second rule, never let your life revolve around her. Read that again, not because she doesn't matter, but because the moment she becomes the center of your existence, you stop leading your life and start orbiting hers, and orbiting kills attraction. Let me make this personal. Have you ever paused your goals for a woman? Skipped the gym? Delayed a project? Ignored your own plans because she might be free? You told yourself it was balance? It wasn't. It was priority distortion. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Attraction doesn't grow from worship. It grows from direction. Women and people in general are drawn to movement, to men who are building something, men who wake up with intent, men who are chasing mastery, not messages. Because direction signals structure, structure signals stability, and stability signals power. Not loud power, not performative alpha nonsense, quiet power, the kind that doesn't need applause. In psychology, status cues are everything. People trust the man who looks like he's already winning at life, even if he's still climbing. But the moment you abandon your mission to chase her attention, you send a message louder than words, I have nothing bigger than you. And that message suffocates desire. Desire needs space. It needs the sense that your attention is selective, earned, not permanently available on demand. Your purpose must be bigger than the relationship, not as an insult to her, as proof of your identity. Masculinity isn't noise, it's focus. A focused man doesn't orbit anyone. He doesn't wait for permission to pursue his goals. He doesn't panic when she tests him. He doesn't drop everything because she's suddenly distant. He continues. That continuation is magnetic. Think about the men who naturally attract without trying. They're busy. disciplined, obsessed with growth. Not because they're ignoring women, because their life has gravity and gravity pulls. Here's something most men never notice. She is constantly measuring your internal hierarchy. Where does she sit? Above your mission or beside it? If she feels like she outranks your purpose, respect begins to erode, not dramatically, subtly, like air leaking from a tire. She becomes less impressed, less inspired, less invested. And one day she says, "I don't feel the same." You'll think it came out of nowhere. It didn't. It came from watching you shrink your world around her. Now here's the paradox. She wants to matter to you, but she doesn't want to be the only thing you have. Because the man who has no world outside her becomes emotionally negotiable. He tolerates behavior he once wouldn't. He accepts crumbs just to avoid being alone. He starts compromising standards he used to defend. And once that shift happens, the dynamic flips. Not because she's plotting, because power shifted. A man without purpose is easy to influence. A man without direction is easy to destabilize. But a man with a mission? He's grounded. He chooses the relationship. He doesn't cling to it. He can enjoy her deeply without dissolving into her. That's the difference between attachment and dependence. One is strength, the other is fear. If your life is empty, she becomes your oxygen. And when someone becomes your oxygen, you'll tolerate anything to keep breathing. But if your life is full purpose, discipline, ambition, then she enters as a complement, not a replacement for your identity. And that changes how you move, how you speak, how you respond to tension. Because you are not negotiating from loneliness, you are operating from abundance of self. That's the frame. Not dominance, not cruelty, direction. And the man who refuses to lose himself for attraction is the man who rarely loses attraction in the first place. Third, and this one separates the men who get tolerated from the men who get obsessed over, never become completely predictable. I'm not talking about playing childish games. I'm talking about never becoming mechanically readable. Because the moment she can map you perfectly, how you'll respond, when you'll text, how you'll react, how quickly you'll forgive, the tension evaporates. And boredom is silent. It doesn't explode, it fades. You've felt it before. At the beginning she was sharp, curious, playful, slightly on edge around you. Then slowly, things flatten. You respond the same way every time. You forgive instantly. You're always available, always warm, always certain. You think consistency equals security. But security without edge becomes routine, and routine does not spark desire. Here's the psychological layer most men miss. The brain bonds deeply through emotional contrast, novelty, uncertainty, small spikes of anticipation. That's why people get hooked on things they can't fully predict. Not chaos, uncertainty. There's a difference. When she knows exactly what reward she'll receive every single time, her mind relaxes. And a relaxed mind doesn't obsess. Mystery creates mental engagement, not because you're hiding secrets, because you're not operating on autopilot. Think about this honestly. Have you ever become so available that she stopped trying? You text first every day. You initiate every plan. You smooth over every conflict. Eventually, she doesn't have to earn your attention. She assumes it, and once attention is assumed, it's undervalued. That's where nice guys lose. Not because kindness is unattractive, because predictability without standards feels low risk, and low risk feels low stakes. Desire needs stakes. When your reactions are automatic, you become a routine. When you become a routine, you become background noise. And background noise doesn't create attachment. Now let's get deeper. Unpredictability is not mood swings. It's emotional control. It means your reactions are guided by principles, not by her behavior. Some days you're warm because you genuinely feel open. Other days you're distant because you're focused on your work. Sometimes you're generous because she showed up well. Sometimes you're reserved because you're not rewarding low effort. That contrast is powerful because she can't reduce you to a formula. She can't press a button and get a guaranteed response. And that uncertainty keeps the mind engaged. Not anxious, engaged. There's a concept in psychology called intermittent reinforcement. It's the same pattern that makes people check their phones compulsively. When reward is consistent, it becomes expected. When reward is variable, earned, it becomes valuable. Again, this isn't about calculated manipulation. It's about having a full life. When you're genuinely busy, you're not always available. When you're genuinely disciplined, you don't always bend. When you genuinely respect yourself, you don't always forgive instantly. And that creates depth. The question that must remain alive is subtle. What version of him will I experience today? Not because you're unstable, because you're layered. A man with layers cannot be fully decoded, and the mind is drawn to what it cannot completely solve. The biggest mistake men make is thinking love grows from total exposure. It doesn't. It grows from discovery. And discovery only exists when not everything is instantly accessible. So keep some tension, keep some mystery, keep your emotional center under your control, because the moment she can predict you entirely, she stops leaning in. And once she stops leaning in, you're no longer the man she's trying to win. You're just the man who's already guaranteed, and guaranteed men rarely get obsessed over. Now here's where this conversation actually gets deep, because the real weak spot isn't age. It isn't fertility. It's identity. And identity crises don't belong to women. They belong to humans, but they show up differently in dating. Modern culture sells a fantasy to everyone, men and women, that you can optimize every area of life simultaneously. Career, status, freedom, adventure, romance, security, all at once. No sacrifices, no trade-offs. But life doesn't work like that. Every path closes another. And the moment someone realizes they can't have every version of life at the same time, panic creeps in. You've seen it. Maybe you've even dated it. A woman who was confident at 24 suddenly becomes hyper-focused on timelines at 30. A woman who once laughed at settling down starts talking about stability. Not because she's manipulative, because reality compresses options over time, and compression creates urgency. Now here's the mistake most men make. When she hits that moment of pressure, they try to rescue her from it. They overvalidate. They reassure. They say, "You're perfect. It's society's fault. It's men's fault. It's timing." They try to be the hero. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You cannot rescue someone from the consequences of their own choices, and you shouldn't try. Because the moment you step into savior mode, you lower your standards to keep her comfortable, and comfort without standards destroys respect. Let me give you a scenario. A woman spent years chasing excitement, validation, attention. Now she wants stability. You meet her at that point. If you ignore her past and silence your own preferences just to secure her approval, you are negotiating against yourself, and she will feel it. Because what she ultimately respects isn't blind acceptance, it's clarity. Clarity of standards, clarity of direction, clarity of what you will and will not tolerate. This is where most men collapse internally. They're afraid to say, "This isn't what I want." They're afraid to walk away. They're afraid that if they enforce standards, they'll lose their chance. So they compromise. And compromise, when driven by fear, is visible. You don't have to insult her. You don't have to degrade her. You simply say through your actions, "This doesn't align with the life I'm building," and then you move accordingly. That's power, not dominance, not cruelty, conviction. There will be moments where holding your standard makes you the villain in someone else's story. She may call you rigid, cold, unforgiving, but underneath that reaction is something else, recognition. Because most men bend. Most men adjust their values to avoid loneliness. Most men would rather be chosen than be respected. But the man who calmly says no, the man who walks away without theatrics, the man who refuses to trade his long-term vision for short-term validation. That man leaves an imprint, not because he hurt her, because he didn't betray himself. Machiavelli wrote that a leader must sometimes learn how not to be good in the naive sense, not cruelly but strategically. Applied here, it means this: you do not sacrifice your standards to be liked. You do not rescue someone from the consequences of their choices just to feel needed. You do not abandon your future for temporary comfort. And when you hold that frame quietly, calmly, something shifts. She may resist it, she may test it, she may even resent it, but she will feel it. Because deep down, everyone respects the person who does not abandon themselves for approval. Your greatest leverage is not what you give, it's what you refuse to compromise. And the man who understands that is not cold, he is grounded, and grounded men are rare. Now let's talk about something most men notice, but never analyze properly. Social competition. Not just between men, between women. Watch closely, not with resentment, with awareness. Pay attention to subtle shifts in tone when one woman looks better that night, when one gets engaged, when one dates a high-status man. The smiles tighten, compliments become layered, support becomes strategic. Not because women are evil, because social ranking is real. Human beings are hyper-aware of status inside their own group. And here's what matters for you. When you step into that ecosystem, you are not just dating her, you are stepping into a hierarchy she constantly measures herself against. And this is where weak men make a fatal mistake. They get dragged into the drama, they take sides, they gossip, they try to defend her honor in petty conflicts. The moment you descend into that level of emotional noise, your value drops. Why? Because you're reacting. High-value men don't react to social turbulence. They observe it. They stay centered. They don't need to comment on every rivalry or validate every insecurity. And that calm detachment is magnetic. Not because you're dismissive, because you're stable. You become the one place in her world that isn't chaotic, that isn't competitive, that isn't emotionally volatile. Now let's go deeper. Have you ever noticed how behavior shifts in environments of comparison? Take her somewhere where she feels observed, not threatened. Observe. A room full of attractive people, high energy, attention flowing. Watch what happens. She checks your reaction. She becomes more affectionate, or slightly territorial, or subtly more attentive. That's not weakness. That's awareness. Everyone responds to perceived competition. Men do it too. The difference is how you handle it. Weak men immediately reassure. Don't worry. I only see you. Relax. They rush to neutralize tension. Strong men, they don't escalate it, but they don't immediately dissolve it either. They remain composed, present, unbothered, because tension isn't the enemy. Insecurity isn't the enemy. Overreaction is. If you flirt aggressively to provoke jealousy, you look childish. If you panic to calm insecurity, you look dependent. But if you remain grounded while attention exists around you, that communicates something powerful. I am here by choice, not by fear. Now let's correct something important. The goal isn't control. The goal isn't revenge. The goal isn't proving women wrong. If that's your aim, you're still operating from ego. The real end game is this. Build a life so structured, so disciplined, so purpose-driven, that no single person becomes your emotional oxygen. That's it. Everything else is secondary. When you build that foundation, you stop obsessing over female behavior. You stop resenting it. You stop trying to decode every shift in mood, because her reactions become information, not threats. And here's the truth. Most men avoid. Her insecurities only destabilize you if you are insecure too. Her social competition only rattles you if you lack internal grounding. Her need for validation only controls you if you need it more. When you do the brutal internal work, build your body, your discipline, your mission, your network, something changes. You stop chasing, you start choosing, you stop reacting. You start observing, and paradoxically, that's when attraction becomes easier. Not because you manipulated anyone, because you are no longer fragile yourself. Let her believe she's independent. Let her say she doesn't need a man. Fine. Independence is attractive, but emotional gravity still wins. And gravity comes from a man who is centered, composed, and not negotiating his identity. When you operate at that level, you don't hate women. You don't resent them. You understand them. You understand social dynamics. You understand competition. You understand validation loops. But most importantly, you understand yourself. And once you are no longer fragile, nothing in her behavior can control you. That's the real power, not domination, stability, not manipulation, self-mastery. And that's the level very few men ever reach. So the real question isn't whether dynamics exist. They do. The real question is whether you're operating consciously or emotionally. Whether you move from strength or from hunger. Whether you build from discipline or react from insecurity. Here's the part nobody spells out clearly. Every relationship contains tension, not toxicity, tension. Desire versus comfort. Independence versus attachment. Power versus vulnerability. And most men pretend this tension isn't there. They walk in blind. They think if they're good enough, if they're agreeable enough, if they love hard enough, everything will stabilize. But attraction doesn't reward blindness. It rewards awareness. The woman who enters your life is evaluating, not maliciously, instinctively. She's asking herself, is he solid? Is he grounded? Does he fold under pressure? Does he need me more than I need him? And whether you like it or not, you're evaluating too. You're measuring her effort, her loyalty, her temperament, her long-term alignment with your vision. This isn't evil, it's selection. The problem is most men evaluate from infatuation. They see beauty and lose structure. They feel desire and abandon standards. They become reactive. And once you become reactive, you lose leverage. But when you understand the psychological undercurrent, insecurity, validation, status awareness, emotional testing, something shifts inside you. You stop taking everything personally. You stop panicking when she pulls back. You stop over-celebrating when she leans in. You observe patterns. You stay centered. And here's the key. Fragility, hers or yours, only controls you if you refuse to see it. If your identity depends on her approval, if your happiness collapses when she withdraws, if your sense of worth rises and falls based on her attention, then you are the fragile one. That's the uncomfortable truth. Most men talk about female psychology. Very few confront their own dependency. But when you build discipline, when you build purpose, when your body is strong, your mind is sharp, your direction is clear, you stop needing to win the dynamic, because you're not entering relationships to be completed. You're entering from fullness. That's when the reversal happens. You move from hoping to be chosen to calmly choosing, from fearing loss to being willing to walk, from begging for attention to offering attention selectively. And that shift is subtle, but it changes everything. Men who live chasing validation feel tension as threat. Men who build themselves feel tension as information. One reacts, the other leads. If you made it this far, something probably hit you. Maybe it irritated you. Maybe it exposed you. Maybe you recognized yourself in the double texts, the overthinking, the quiet fear of being replaced. Good. That discomfort is awareness waking up. Don't let it fade 5 minutes after this video ends. Now here's the part you're not ready for. In the next video, I'm going to break down the exact moment she silently decides whether you're a temporary option or a man she can't replace. It's not dramatic. It's not obvious. And almost every man fails it because he doesn't even realize it's happening. If you think understanding her weak spot is powerful, wait until you see how she tests your strength in real time. You won't look at attraction the same way again. Now, if you want to go deeper right now, click the video that's appearing on your screen. It connects directly to what we just exposed, and it will show you how to hold your frame when the pressure hits. Click it, stay in the flow, and if this video challenged you in a way most content doesn't, like it, subscribe, because we're just getting started.